right, looks like we are getting ready to roll. Okay, well, welcome everybody to Mappy Hour. This is our happy hour for those of us who love maps, also known as geocachers. Well, welcome everybody. Cheers. We made it to another Friday. Hope everyone's doing well today. All right, looks like we are getting ready to roll. Okay, well, welcome everybody to Mappy Hour. This is our
Ghosts still exist.
It always sneaks up on me. That echo and the delay. Yeah, goodness. Well, as you can tell, I am flying solo tonight. Kid Vegas 19 is driving to Montana. It's opening up hunting season, and looked like they had a good opportunity to go and chase some deer and some elk this weekend with my brother. So it's just me, Lisa, Lookout Lisa from Cash Advance hosting tonight. And our topic tonight is about the changes that have been made to challenge caches. There have been some new guidelines that have been added and really changes things up a bit. I can see some of the um, reasoning behind it, but I think it's going to make things a little bit different, obviously, for most of us. So, but before we get to our main topic, we do have notes from the field. I'd love to know what sort of geocaching adventures y'all have been up to here in the last couple of weeks, or maybe something that you're planning to do going forward in the future. And then, but before that, and also for notes from field, everybody gets 2 minutes to share. That'll give us all a chance to share. Then we can move into our main topic. But I do have a couple guidelines, ground rules, hard stops here for how Mappy Hour runs, just so we can keep it running smoothly. So keep everything family friendly. Treat this like you would any geocaching event. Could be kids in the room with us. We are live streaming to YouTube, and this will eventually be added to Cache GPT, our AI, where you can ask it all sorts of questions. And we have a lot of answers amongst us in this group. And if you're watching on YouTube, I'm sorry, I'm unable to monitor YouTube. I will go back and check later. If anybody else gets a chance to pop in and look at the YouTube feed on Cash Advance, hi everybody. Go ahead and put your questions in there and I'll answer them later when I get a chance to. I think that's the basics. So let's go ahead and get started. Oh, please keep yourself on mute also until I call on you, and we'll just go in order. And if you have something you don't want to add to the conversation out of order, just wave at the camera, and we can pull you in if it's you've got an answer for somebody right away. But I know Robert would like to get us started. So yeah, what's up with you, Robert?
Thank you. I first start off with I did Geo Coin Fest here in Castle Rock, Colorado. Got to get 14 new Geo coins and picked up the book, the publish button, which tells the story of all the reviewers, including Barking Frogs, who is J-Car. And that was a cool story to read all the different reviewers and how they got started and their adventures with geocaching. From there, I did International Earth Cache Day and got the souvenir for that. I then went up to Loveland, Colorado, and got a community celebration event and 19 other caches, including Colorado's Cache Odyssey, which there's one in every state. So that is my first of many to try and get to try and complete the Geo Tour. Along with that, I then got my Adventure Day souvenir through the weekend of that as well. So that was a fun adventure and fun time. And I had an absolute blast doing that. And I'm setting up for November with several GIF events to try and attend the International Geocaching Film Festival.
Awesome. Well, you have definitely been busy.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
There was one GeoCoin book that I was unable to get at GeoCoin Fest because I ran out of money, but I just ordered it off Amazon. I'll put the link in the chat, but it is a book that features all about geocoins and all the different coins in a collection and them throughout the years. So I ordered that. It's amazing full picture detail of all the different coins that exist in the world. So it's going to be an exciting read.
Oh, wow. I'll have to check that out. I hadn't even heard of that coming out. So I'm behind the times. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, cool.
Hunting elk is pretty fun. It looks like he's going to bring back a lot of meat for you guys to survive the winter.
That's the plan. We sure hope so. Yeah, our freezer's getting a little bit empty. It's been a while. So wish him luck, then he won't have to go out back out again. Otherwise, it's going to be off and on between now and Thanksgiving. So, right. Does anybody else have notes from the field that they would like to share with us? I see some folks have been out caching, making notes in the chat. And we had an event that we went to a couple days ago here locally. It was fun to see folks. It was at a Dairy Queen, just a quick meet and greet. And it was fun to see some cachers I hadn't seen in a while, actually. And then we also got the Adventure Lab souvenir, made a point to get out. There was one that I'd found one or two, and they're spread across like 10, 15 miles, all the different locations. So, well, this is the day we're going to knock them all off. So we went out for a drive and then ended up getting a whole nother series as well while we were out. So a lot of fun for sure. And I see Chris Hiking Seal has her hand up. So yeah, what have you been up to, Chris?
Well, as I said, I'm sitting in the Atlanta airport after they kicked us off a plane. So, but I'm over on the East Coast this week, and I was able to get some caching in. I was up in Pittsburgh, actually about an hour and a half north of Pittsburgh. So I got Pennsylvania's oldest, and I was able to slip across the border, and I grabbed New York's Cache Odyssey, and
Hmm,
then I jumped on a plane and came down here to Georgia and actually to Alabama. But before I drove over to Alabama, I finally got Georgia's oldest. Georgia, I think, is my third state for number of caches, and I didn't have the oldest here um, because it's always removed and my numbers are so high from going caching. So,
right.
and it was never here. So I was really excited to finally get that. So yeah, knocked off two state oldest and a cache odyssey. And, oh, actually, no, I got Georgia's cache odyssey as well. So two cache odysseys. So
Awesome. Well
it was my
done.
caching this week.
Yeah. So is your flight delayed or are you?
Yeah, we actually made it all the way out to the runway. We didn't make the turn onto the runway. We were still on the taxi way,
Mm,
and the pilot had told us there were some issues with one of the APU units, the power units, and
yeah.
they decided, oh, we're going to go for it anyways. And so we got out that far. They started it up from a ground unit, and he decided that nope, it's dangerous to fly like this. We're going back.
Mm,
So, so I'm on a different flight now that departs 3 hours later.
yeah. Okay. Well, it gave you a chance to join us here. So, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I would have missed otherwise.
Yeah.
So, no, I get to see
Okay.
you guys.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, I hope you get home. We're going to be doing some flying next week.
Joe passes up like we saw Lake City, as you can see our aircraft is down the
Whoops.
gate, so I.
Somebody needs to be muted. Oh, here it is, I think. Oops, I lost it. Oh well. Um,
That was Hiking Seal's airport announcement.
oh, was that okay? Got it. Now I see somebody else that isn't muted yet either. Um, okay, we'll see. Thank you for that. Yeah, JD, Kid Vegas 19 is flying to Arkansas on Tuesday for work, and then I'm going to join him on Thursday, and we're going to spend a long weekend out there, and then he has to stay and work the following week, and I'll come back later that next week. So, with the government shutdown here in our country in the US, they've been hinting that air flight might be a little bit challenging going forward. So I'm hoping things get resolved safely and soon.
Any
I
additional?
can say something about the announcements still going on. I haven't had any delays. I've been traveling quite a bit for the past couple of weeks, and no PSA air traffic delays. My car is mechanical. It's not in
Yeah,
any way related to the shutdown.
good. Good. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah. Well, I'll fill you all in on our trip. We plan on getting some good geocaching in. We've got a long weekend that we get to run around in Arkansas. Well, Well, does anybody else have any notes from the field that they would like to share? No? Okay, been a quiet time. Yeah.
Actually, I think Ashley's waving her hand.
Oh, Ashley, go ahead. I don't see you on the screen.
And you have to unmute down in the lower
There you
Yeah,
right.
are.
I'm having troubles finding my mute and finding my signal, so I couldn't do the official raise hand here. This is a funny screen for me. Just a couple of things. I got to go on a really great hike with a bunch of cachers, some people in the community that I really enjoy. We hiked up to Ball and Pyramid Lakes in Idaho for some lonely caches up there. Just under 6 miles, about 1,300 feet of gain. And at one point, the gents in our group broke off and did some harder hiking up to the top of a local maximum while the rest of us stayed down at the lakes, and gorgeous fall weather. There were 7 of us counting the dog, and it's something I want to do every fall with that particular group of people. The oldest in our group was 81, and she kicked our butts like she always does, talking the whole way, out hiking all of us. And if you're local, you know who I'm talking about.
Yep.
And then the other thing I've been doing is mostly just planning events as the WSGA chapter rep, trying to figure out something to do every month to keep us meeting and having fun. And going into the dark time of winter when the mountains are closed to me, that's what I'll be doing. So that's it.
Awesome. We definitely have been busy. So cool. Good. Good. Thanks, Ashley. It's good to see you here joining us. Yeah. Charles, I see
Yeah,
you have
sorry, I
joined
just
in.
joined a little late, but I got distracted by something on TV right now. Wonder
Baseball.
what? I wonder
Baseball is dead to
what?
me. Baseball is
Sor-
dead to me.
Sorry, but
That's all
after
right.
I turned after 32 years.
Yeah.
Anyways, what have I been doing in the last few weeks? Not much, except getting ready for a couple of trips I'm going to Chile uh, next week. No, not this week, 2 weeks from now. For an international swim meet. So I'll get another country there, my 39th country. So I'm trying to find out prepare myself for a few caches there, one or two. It's gonna be a little more difficult because there's not much around where I'm going to be. Although it's in Santiago, not sure about the climate and how safe it's going to be to travel around. And then on the way back, I found out I have to go through Brazil. And before anybody says 8 cash, I only got 3.5 hours at the airport. But there's a virtual at the airport. So that should be number 40. um, Pretty cheeky to have one like that, but it reminds me of my one for Japan, where I actually literally had 30 minutes from the time I got off the one plane onto another, and I completed a virtual in there. And there you have that, which is just take a picture of yourself inside the air, proving that you're inside the airport.
Perfect.
Yeah, so I got as I was getting my boarding pass, I took a picture of the gate and the way I went in. But the big thing I've been organizing right now is the gift celebration on the 15th of November in Ottawa. Anybody, sorry, Gatineau, if anybody wants to come over, you're more than welcome.
Mhm.
And it's going to be a community celebration event at the same time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So half an hour before, you get a little chatty yappy, welcome and everything, the gift, and then another half hour to talk about it and have a inside poll about which one was their favorite. So,
Yeah. Well, fun, fun. I'm looking forward to seeing all the GIF entries. It's been
yep.
what, 2 years since we've had one of
2 years.
them?
Yeah, there was none last year.
Yeah, yeah. So I missed it. So I'm glad that it's back. We'll have a great time at yours.
Thank you.
I know we've got one locally scheduled here, just across the Idaho border in the next state. So I'm looking forward to that for sure. And I'm not organizing it, so I get to just show up and enjoy the show. I think, unless Melissa, because I know she just joined us, if you have anything to add, we're still doing notes from the field.
Yes, I just came in. We're having homecoming this weekend at the University of Pittsburgh. And I just got in from doing 3 homecoming activities. Games tomorrow.
Mm.
But yeah, so I was at an event last weekend, and the host of the event said he had just had some new caches published in one of the parks. And so I got home that night and looked at them, and one was a puzzle. And it was, you had to put a puzzle together.
Fun.
Took me 4 hours to put the puzzle together. I stayed up an hour late to finish it. But when I got up the next morning, no one had gone and found it, and the park opened at 8, and I arrived at the park at 8:10. There were not parking coordinates. Parking coordinates would have been very helpful.
Oh.
I started out on the wrong trail that disappeared, but I just bushwhacked it till I got back to a real trail. And it was uphill and downhill and uphill. Yeah. I had to ford a stream once. The other place, the other trail had a bridge over the stream, but I found it. I made first to find. I was so excited.
Yay.
And I wrote a nice log, and then I'm leaving and I realized, oh, I took the first to find thing. I should be leaving something in the cache too. So I went back and I had written a nice log, but I hadn't actually signed it.
Oh.
So, but I knew I was not going back out the same way I came in. Because I was not dealing with that trail that disappeared. So
Right. Oh my
it
goodness.
was as much an adventure getting out as it was getting in. But I got a first to find. Oh, and it was a very nice gift card for first to find.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
So that was my adventure
Congratulations.
this week, which was, and now we're cold. We've had raining. And that's part of the reason I went for it Sunday morning first thing, is because I knew the rain was coming in about 1 o'clock, and it did. So we've had rain every day since.
Oh. Oh.
Sounds like Seattle, right?
Yeah, I hear it rains a lot there. Oh my goodness. What? Yeah, that's a cool thing about puzzles is you get, two big ahas. One is when you solve it, you
Yeah.
spend all that extra time to do that. And then when you go out and actually find it. So it's a double win. And hard way in, easy way out always. Yeah.
But it was an easy way out.
Oh,
It was
okay.
just a different way
Different.
out.
Okay. Got it.
It was hard way in and hard way out, but the hard way out was a lot less. I was dealing with a lot less growth. I
Okay.
could see where I was going. It was just a really steep hill. I was literally crawling up the hill on all fours in one place.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness. Okay. I'm glad you made it.
I did.
Yeah.
I was safe.
Good. Well, Melissa, it kind of worked out well that, I called on you last because you're the one that wanted to talk about the topic of challenge caches and the changes there. Would you like to introduce this or speak to it to get us started?
Well, at that event on Saturday, they were talking about how the they're changing challenge caches.
Hmm.
And so I don't know all the changes. I thought some people here might be better informed, but I was getting from some people, because some of the people in that group are big challenge cachers.
Okay.
They publish a lot, they go for a lot. So they were giving me the impression that they were kind of dumbing down challenge caches. And it's great to have challenge caches for every level. But if you're taking away, that's what keeps some of the people in the game, right?
Hmm.
So, yes. So I kind of wanted to hear what other people had to say.
Okay, great. Yeah, no, I think this is a great topic. So thanks for bringing it to my attention. I know we'll start off with Robert as well.
Yeah, it's sad. One of the changes they made was the attributes in challenges was a rule change. So you no longer can do like a camping theme where you have like a tent and a campfire and hiking and that type of thing. So that's a little disappointing. I know in the past they removed the challenge caches trackables, because people were just logging way too much for like 1,000 trackable challenge or 2,000 trackable challenge. So they had to remove that because people were just logging way too many trackables. So challenge caches are fun though. As long as you follow the rules, you can get some pretty fun ones published. Um, I found my favorite one that I found so far was one in Kentucky where it was you had to find 10 caches in Kentucky and 10 caches in Hawaii. And that was called the Manakaliki Maka Challenge. So that was a pretty little creative how they came up with that. But yeah. And then in Colorado, I think the other rule that annoys me with challenge caches statewide is that I try to get a Jasmine, just a plain Jasmine challenge cache published in Colorado. But because there's already one down in Colorado Springs, there can only be one single Jasmine challenge cache per state, per what my reviewer told me in Colorado. So you can't really publish one a little farther north to help the northern cachers out.
Yeah, yeah, I think that is also mentioned. I just put a link in the chat about the guideline update. This is what was put into the forums back in August, actually, and they do talk about the Jasmer as well. Um, Luckily, I got on the Jasmer bandwagon early, and I own one, but it's in Idaho because we already had one in Washington. But yeah, we're close to Idaho. I can see it from my house. So yeah,
Yes.
some of
It's
those.
just unfortunate. It's unfortunate for us because it's down in Colorado Springs, and if you live like in Grand Junction or Fort Collins, you have to drive well out of your way just to get it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, some of us big states are big for sure. Yeah.
yes.
Well, to complete a Jasper challenge, you have to travel all over the world. It seems like you could travel a little out of your way to finish the challenge.
Yeah, I'm just thinking,
Yeah.
just in terms of why can't we have one up north? Why can't we have one out west? Because Grand Junction, to get from Grand Junction to Colorado Springs, you have to cross the Rocky Mountains. And that's if you live in Grand Junction, that's a little bit out of your way. You would have to like book a hotel for the night and everything.
Yeah, that's a trek. Yeah, so some of the changes then we're now limited for new challenges to just one attribute, like what you were talking about there, Robert. We can't have multiple attributes to make the challenge. That's a big one. And then let me go back to that. Hang on, my computer is still acting up. And yeah, if event caches are specified as challenge criteria, no additional criteria can be used. And then there's another one as well as the size can no longer be not chosen. They won't be published that way. So you have to state what the size of the physical container is, I guess. Yeah, so I guess part of tonight's conversation too is just about what what you like or maybe don't like about challenge caches. And I know what I think Melissa had mentioned as well that after you've been caching for so long, you get a little bit burned out. And then that was my experience as well too, kind of growing up with geocaching. And then challenge caches came along, and suddenly that put a whole new spin. It gives you long-term goals potentially. Like we were just talking in Notes from the Field, all the Cache Odyssey ones that people are going for and looking for Jasmer and the oldest in every state and such. That's a part of what we do now, geocaching, especially those of us who've been caching longer. So Ashley, go ahead.
Well, I'm here tonight because of the topic. This is probably my first Mappy Hour. Because I am a pretty serious challenge cacher. It's what I do. It's what keeps me motivated. It's what fills my dark winters. I spend time plotting and planning the weird caches I have to go find for these exotic challenges. And I've done a lot of the old ones, Washington History Challenge, the Washington Fizzy in the old style when there was a date requirement. I've chosen ones that are wicked hard and love them. I'm passionate about them. And I grieve every new set of guidelines that come out because they narrow the field. And I've just never really understand why we have this trend of narrowing when it's so simple for people to just not do a challenge if it doesn't appeal to them. I just am watching the thing that I love the most about the game get watered down. And yeah, I'm thinking in particular like the forest fire lookout challenges. As you know, Lisa, I just finished your Idaho one, and
Yeah.
that took me 8 years to do. And that challenge could not exist, I think, under the even the 2015 guidelines because of user-defined boundaries. I don't know. It just seems like even those challenges that to me look like no-brainers are gone under the newish guidelines and even now the newer ones. And to some extent, the issue that I have with it is that I don't understand why. Like why do we need to restrict to just one attribute? That seems kind of random. What's wrong with having a camping challenge where you have 3 attributes and you're seeking caches with those or a certain number with those? And in absence of understanding why, it just looks really capricious. So that's kind of what I'm coming from is, killing my love of the game, the thing I like the best, for reasons I don't understand.
Mhm.
So that's me.
Yeah, no, I agree in many ways. Like my forest fire lookout challenge, when I hit it, there were no guidelines around challenges, and I didn't qualify for it. I still don't. My own challenge, and I'm hopefully I will someday. But that now is one of the changes that was made after the moratorium was lifted. You have to be able to qualify for your own challenge. And there has to be a population of so many people that could also qualify for it too, um, as I understand part of the rules. But I see we've got a couple more hands have come up. I think I'll hear from Dr. D first and then Melissa.
Yeah, regarding the challenges, we have a lot of the snowbirds down here, and they apparently are world travelers because a lot of our challenges they got out of hand here a couple of years ago, and it was 7 different icons in 7 countries. I mean, stuff that the locals will not qualify for.
Sure.
And there's probably about 50 of them down here that I don't think I would live long enough to probably even qualify for them. Yeah, they're just so out of hand. And then some of our reviewers down here kind of tighten the reins up on that. But also, our reviewer is one of them that has dipped into this challenge himself. He was doing all the states in the U.S., provinces, upper territories. So unless you're a very dedicated cacher, that's something that nobody will ever get. And he was actually querying anybody in our area that might possibly qualify for this so that it would get published. And he never had any luck finding anybody other than himself that could qualify for it. So that's one of the good things about having that one criteria of you have to have a population of some people that can qualify for it, in my opinion, anyway.
Mhm. Yeah, no, that makes sense as well. And one of the things that were also discussed was around for reviewers. They've always been a challenge to publish the challenge caches. And I think, unfortunately, going this way does make it easier, more structured format for publishing, where, as we know, over the years, sometimes one type of cache might get published in an area, but it would not be in a different area based on, who the reviewer is for that particular region. And, that's okay too. Things are different in different places. So I don't really know what the answer is, but yeah, Melissa, go ahead.
Yeah, my question kind of, because when I read over what you put out there, it says to make it easier for the reviewer.
Yeah.
And so that was my question, because I know we have at least one reviewer on here. Does this make it easier for you?
I'll leave it to anybody that is a reviewer if they'd like to
Yeah.
ask about or answer that.
I guess my question is, I mean, and not being a reviewer, I don't know, is publishing a challenge cache a difficulty for our reviewers?
Sorry, my cat.
Yes.
Yeah, I would assume it is that there's so much involved with them, but I'm not a reviewer either. So I'm not going to call on anybody to answer that question
Yeah.
in case they're not out. However, Ken just raised his hand. Ken?
I'll speak a little bit unofficially. I'm not speaking as a HQ representative in any of my
Yeah.
discussion here.
Yeah. No, no, no.
The bad part that challenges have posed is that a very small segment of the community is sitting there approaching challenge caches ad absurdum, um, pushing the boundaries so far beyond. And there are times that these reactions, and like I said, this is me as a cacher interjecting some of my own opinion on this, that sometimes due to a very small minority that push them so far that sometimes where a chisel might do, sometimes it feels like a sledgehammer is thrown at the problem. But there are cases, and every time they make a challenge updates to the guidelines, it takes the reviewers time to also disseminate what happens because as many updates as you guys see go across your desk, the reviewers see even more nuanced examples coming through our desk of what we're having to abide by. Um, and we see some of the backstory as well, but it's the easiest caches are ones where it's a posted coordinate. Somebody sits there and says, I've got permission from the park director. It's according to policies. They're very, whatever. Anything beyond that takes more time to go through. So whether that is a challenge, whether that's a multi, a puzzle, or whatever, but it really, I think, comes down to a small minority that have pushed very hard against the challenge guidelines and creates a frustration amongst portions of the reviewer community. So I hope I said that diplomatically and don't get myself in trouble on anything, but I figure I'll at least throw my 2 cents in, even if they're not wanted.
Thanks, Ken. I appreciate that. Sorry, I muted myself because my cat was being noisy. Yeah, it is frustrating that.
I can't imagine that.
What was that?
Cats doing their own thing? I can't imagine that.
I know, isn't that crazy? Oh, yeah. Hello. So I guess this pet chat came early. Apparently somebody is missing his daddy already. That's for sure. Let's see, Charles. Go ahead, Charles.
Yeah, so regarding the Jasmer one per state as being a rule, we have to remember that the game is a globally played game, originally played game with um, globally played game with regionalism included in there.
Yeah.
Restrictions. For example, in Ontario, we cannot have two similar challenges within 35 kilometers from each other. So, which technically means, according to our guidelines, we could have more than one Jasmer type challenge cache in Ontario. So you always have to look back at your state, your province's guidelines also, because that's how the reviewers put their the playing field level, the level of the playing field. So it's the same rules for everybody in that state. Sometimes it leads to frustration because why can I do this in Ohio, but I can't do it in Washington, but I live right on the border. I have that all the time with Quebec and Ottawa, right by the border. Some challenge caches and some caches I can publish in Quebec, but I can't publish in Ontario because of the regional differences, even though we're playing with the same, we're all playing the same game. Like Ken says, some people have been pushing the envelope so far that these more restrictive, sometimes what we would consider more restrictive guidelines for areas. It also it's there for some reasons. It maybe looks more restrictive for area, but there's a reason for it. Well, and I just saw a comment about is that with variances and everything. I suggest that you always go back when you're thinking about a cache, or especially a cache challenge cache. Go back and look into your state, your province, local review guidelines. You can find them that on the geocaching pages, and that's going to help you a lot and maybe save you some frustrations by submitting something and having the reviewer kick back.
Right, absolutely. And you can always ask your reviewer too.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I've
Read
done
your
that.
guidelines first. Read your regional guidelines first.
Yeah.
Right, Ken?
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. That makes a lot of sense. Scott, go ahead, Scott.
I'm just relaying something over from YouTube where Pacholik says when there are no more year 2000 hides to find.
Sorry, you broke up there. We missed the first part of that.
Oh, a bad internet connection this week. What happens to all the Jasmer challenges when there are no more year 2000 hides to find? And that's from Mike.
Wow, that's a really good question. That could happen down the road. I don't even know how many are left. Thank you for sharing that. And hi, YouTube folks. And thank you, Scott, for monitoring that for me. I appreciate that. Yeah, Jim, J-Car?
Yeah, hey. So I know it's been a while since I've been here. But one of the things that I know this is probably an unpopular opinion, but the change to one attribute doesn't bother me. One thing I found over the last few years is how I used to filter on a few attributes, and attributes have become almost useless because they just some people say, oh, you got to pick attributes. You got to fill up your cache page with attributes. And so lots of attributes are picked that do not apply to the cache or the event or anything like that. And I have found attributes to be useless. I hope it starts to go back the other way, but I don't hold much hope for that. So
Yeah, that makes sense. Looking at attributes, it's nice to be able to filter by them, but again, they're not always correct, and sometimes they aren't being used when they should be. So for the next Geo Challenge of the month coming out, it is attribute based. And before we recorded it, and it'll be coming out the first Sunday of November. That was come out the first Sunday, April through December. I took a look. I did a filter by attribute to make sure that this one particular attribute, had some good opportunities for people around. So yeah, I think it's all right. But this is just a Geo Challenge of the month. This is not Geo Challenges, Challenge caches. So it's a fun way to get around it in a way, doing our different challenges that we have every month that Joshua, the geocaching blogger, and I do. It's an additional goal, very time limited because you only have that month to get it done. And depending on where that first Sunday falls, it's most of the month generally. to get that one done. But we can go outside the bounds of regular challenge caches. So yeah, if you're looking for more challenges, be sure to check out the Geo Challenge of the month. Um, there's a Facebook group for it. Just type in Geo Challenge and it should come up. And also, you can always follow Joshua um, for his. And you get to earn a coin. Matter of fact, I just shipped out 4 coins for last month's winners. So let's see, we've got Melissa. Go ahead, Melissa.
Yeah, so are the existing challenges out there going to stay? Is a question.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ken, for answering as a reviewer. I had no clue as to whether this was a difficulty or not. And I appreciate you putting yourself out there and saying something. The other thing is, one of the treasures we have out there right now, you have to find mystery caches. No problem. But they have an attribute on that one, which is 24/7. I have so many mystery caches in my area that I have solved and I went out to get. Not one of them has the 24/7 attribute on it, but they're all available 24/7. So that's frustrating on a treasure. So, and I wasn't looking at that because I wasn't expecting an attribute there. So, so do we know if they're retroactive, if the current challenges are going to stay as they are?
Yeah, that's what it said, that they will be grandfathered in.
Okay.
So, but in case one needs to be archived, it's gone.
Yeah.
Like the 366-day challenge. To fill up your calendar plus leap day. That's no more. And I owned one of those, and I needed to archive it and put out a new one and couldn't. That wasn't available anymore. So, but I was able to resurrect my 365-day one. That one is still allowed. Okay, we've got a few more hands have popped up. So let's see, we've got Ashley and then Duppy.
Yeah, just following up on the attributes and treasures, I do notice that the treasures game is driving a lot of new cache placement in our area. There was a set that required tools. A special tool required attribute had to be on there. And as soon as that came up, there were a whole bunch of tree climb ones where a special tool could be used that got published in our area. And I had one person tell me that they were going through all their mystery caches and adding the 24/7 attribute. We just had a new piece of GeoArt published that all have the 24/7 attribute on them. So treasures is driving attribute use. I just wanted to kind of second that, even though it's a little bit off topic of challenges themselves. So whatever treasures does is going to affect how caches are placed in your area.
Yeah, it definitely does seem to be having an effect. And that's something I haven't really been tracking the treasures. I'm just caching organically. If I get them, I do. If I don't, I don't. Today, that might change. And yeah, it's funny because our Geo Challenge of the month just last month was to find a cache with a special tool required attribute. And then you earned a treasure as well. So that worked out well. Duppy, go ahead. It's good to see you, man.
Good to see you too. How you doing?
Good, good. How about you?
Well, I guess the thing I'm bringing up is like treasures have been coming up a lot, and a lot of the treasures actually they're not taking the place of some of the challenges, but they're doing some of the things that challenges used to be able to do. Like for instance, you have to find a regular, but it's also a specific type, but it also has to be a specific DT rating. So some of these things aren't allowed in challenge caches anymore, but treasures is actually having you do it. Right. So whether that's fair or not, whatever, however you want to look at it, but that's at least one way that some of these challenges are still active. Now, they're not owned by cache owners. It's just through treasures. And, like planets is like you have to find a traditional or a multi or whatever, but it also has to be a regular or a large, and it also has to be a 2.0 or higher. So like these are all the criteria that would normally be in a challenge cache.
Yeah.
And it's just not anymore. I mean, my view on challenge caches is if a if a checker, totally believe. I love the alphabet challenges and all that stuff. You just can't, or like find 50 challenges that have wild bird names or something. I love those, but I get the idea of having to have a challenge checker. But in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, polarizing sometimes, but if a challenge checker can be made for the challenge, shouldn't the challenge be able to be published? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And hopefully I'm not making people mad, but it's just one of those things. Like if you can have a challenge checker for it, I don't see what the issue is. So anyway.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, just like you had said, now, these treasures, and again, I'm just learning things myself, are kind of filling the place of what we now can't do for challenges.
Right.
And so I understand the treasures are going to be around for a long time. They're not so time sensitive as a lot of the other promotions. So I don't know, the game within the game. And it's like, darned if you do, and oh, but you can do it over here. Jim, Mountain Goat.
So the idea that if a checker could be made, then the challenge should be published. I kind of agree with that. It seems like all the challenges that I like or would want to do don't meet the guidelines. And I'll admit I was never a fan of alphabet challenges, but to each his own. How about this? If you know, I don't have to solve a puzzle to find a puzzle cache. I can go out with my friend. Maybe I just accidentally stumble across it. I've found the finals of a couple of caches that I didn't complete all the required. I did a 4-stage multi-cache. I only found the first stage. I was never able to find the other stages. And one day I was out looking for a place to hide a cache, and I found the perfect spot for an ammo can, and there was already one there. So years ago, HQ did away with ALRs. Find the cache, sign the log your find online. Let's do that with challenge caches. Get rid of the ALR, find some other way to reward finders for completing the challenge, and then open it up. If you can make a checker, then the challenge can, do like they do in a lot of places in California. They have honor roll or caches where you get listed on the cache page and recognized for completing the challenge, but anyone can find them. So I would support the make a checker, and it's a valid challenge as long as it isn't tied to finding the cache and logging it online. Now I'll step back and wait for people to not like that. But.
Yeah, I definitely remember those strange ALRs. They got out of hand for a while. I wasn't too sad to see them go, but then, they evolved into challenge caches. So, in one way, it's the beauty of the game as people come up with new ideas and invent some new thing around geocaching. And we put it out there and we test it, and then maybe it becomes a problem down the road, or additional guidelines need to be added to it. It's like technology, our rules and laws around technology are always a little bit behind the technology, hence like the basketball thing that just happened. But I see, Dup, you got your answer there, additional logging requirement or ALRs, which technically is what a challenge cache is.
Well, and you mentioned how back in the ALR days, I enjoyed a lot of them. Most of them were fun, but there were people that came up with the goofiest stuff and it got out of hand. And I'm seeing challenge caches going the same way. They've stopped being fun goals to set and achieve and started just being random stats that people pull off their stat page and they create a challenge out of it.
Right. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. Ken, go ahead.
Well, before I move into what I was going to talk, I I was I came on at the end of the ALRs. I remember the uproar of the announcement, and I did a few of them. One of which was outside Toledo, Ohio. We had a cache that required you in order to sign the cache, you had to get a picture that was a picture of your group with at least 50 foot up.
Yeah.
And you had a lot of interesting things. It was near a university airport, so you had some people that would go over and get like the flight school or somebody to go take a picture real quick while you had a group there running hot air balloons or kites. Remember, these were back in 2009, so some of the drone ability wasn't exactly there at that time, in a commonplace. Um, one of our group, we went out and did like a last hurrah. HQ gave them a week extension so we could have a, you know, non-guideline compliant find a cache event. But we sat there and had several groups go out to make it. And our last attempt, since we had so many people there, including several four-legged individuals, we sat there and took a group shot where all of us laid on their backs and stuck our feet up in the air. And so we had about 70 to 80 feet in the air, and took our group picture for one of the requirements. So, finding the ways around it was always a little fun too. Um, and as a personal cacher, I like challenges. I enjoy something that stretches. I mean, I've commented on here before is every 18 or so months, I like to switch how I cache because it keeps it interesting. And challenge caches sometimes give me that focus of change what I'm changing to. Um, and I mentioned in the chat, I mean, I actually was a little more disappointed with the events, changes that you couldn't sit there and say, have found an event in X states. Um, I'm somebody who likes to travel, but I'm not necessarily the fan of the people who sit there and host a parking lot event either, saying, come meet me in this half-hour time block in a weird spot of town. But I always used to work with locals, find somebody that's hosting, or I would look out a ways and say, hey, they have a monthly meet and greet. It's always on the third Wednesday at, you know, the sandwich shop or whatever. And I would sit there and bend my travel plans to meet that. So I kind of miss that. And I'm an introvert, but yet I like to meet fellow crazies of our hobby, um, and stuff. And so I, I struggle because, inherent in the name of challenge is that there should, in theory, be a challenge involved, and I do sometimes feel the guidelines changes kind of push away from the element of having a challenge. But that's me as a person, not me as a reviewer. But that's my so I understand a lot of the frustration sometimes when it's like, okay, great, we can't do this thing again. But even as I commented the event, I'm this is not me knowing inside what made that change, but I have a feeling I do know what caused it, and I talked to those casters when they kept pushing on stuff and saying, you guys are going to screw something up if you keep pushing the guidelines because I've seen how this movie plays out before.
Mhm.
And shortly after I see those restrictions come in. So sometimes as hiders, and I don't know that this would apply to anybody in the room, but sometimes as hiders we also have to sit there and not just place it because we can, but maybe, reevaluating that why we're sitting there putting a weird challenge in place.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, don't just do it just because you can. Sometimes it's not really a good idea. Ashley, go ahead.
Well, this is just for me a bit of a plea, and that is geocaching. One of the things I love about it is that it's a big tent game. There are a lot of different ways to play this game, and we all like different elements of it. And it seems like there's always been room for different ways to express yourself as a cacher. And unfortunately, it seems like with challenge caches, we're going in a different direction where only particular way of playing the game is being supported anymore. And I think that's kind of sad and to the detriment of the game. There's something to be said for if you don't like it, you don't have to seek it.
Yeah.
So if people want to do challenges that are what I think is really stupid and are just about stats, well, have at it. I just won't go for those. I don't go for big geo arts where there's no puzzle to solve either. I do different things. But what I'm noticing is that the new guidelines are kicking me out. The different things that I like to do are the things that are getting killed. And that's the thing that I'm coming onto this forum to talk about.
Mhm. Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's always been the beauty of the game is there's so much that, it's choose your own adventure, truly.
And
And
I got a jet because I got to go make dinner. So I'm gonna
okay.
log out. So
Well, thanks for joining us. Appreciate your contributions to the conversation tonight. And come back. See
I
us
will.
again every 2 weeks.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. Yeah, geocaching has always been a choose your own adventure, especially as the game has grown and evolved so much. Um, you know, I enjoy all types of caching. Some people, just because of mobility issues, what have you, park and grabs are what they're able to do. Other folks like Ashley, who just left, and many of us also enjoy longer hikes. And, finding just one cache, we'll maybe spend a whole afternoon just for that. And just bonus if there's more along the way. Others, it's all about the numbers and the stats. And there's enough now. Obviously, the game is so big, we can ignore the things that we don't like. But I do see how we have to have some guidelines so we all know what to expect while we're out there within, hiding or seeking certain types of caches as cache finders. Um, Playcash, you just asked a question of hiking seal about your scuba GCs. Did you want to share about those? She might not be able to. I know she's in an airport. So she says boarding. Okay.
Yeah, she's getting on her plane.
Okay. Okay. That's what I had a feeling might be the case. Oh, boarding. Got it. Okay, boarding her plane. I was thinking like wakeboarding, scuba cache, but that didn't make sense. Got it. Okay, well, gosh, we are right at the top of the hour. So I just realized it's already 7:01. I'm sorry, gang, but drinks are full price now. Um, do we have any last thoughts on challenge caches? How have they impacted you? We've heard from a lot of folks, for good or for bad, and the new rules change. I'm gonna have to soak it up a little bit and take a look at ones that, I've been thinking about putting out for challenges. My latest one I put out was for 300 souvenirs. And so that was just a one thing only. So it still qualifies, I guess. But I was planning on putting out some different ones too. Duppy?
Yeah, just quickly, like I have a whole street that's going to be like 10 different challenge caches, like a challenge alley,
Hmm.
in my area. And I had them all ready, everything set up, everything great. And then this in August, everything kind of happened. So originally it was going to be like get every negative attribute. And then one was going to be get 5 of every negative attribute. So obviously all those had to go away. But again, it just makes you just have to be more creative, I guess. I mean, think of it like a writing assignment, right? You have to like here write a 500 word essay on this, and here are your parameters. And
Mhm.
that's really what it comes down to is like take the rules, whether you like them or not, that's what they are. Take the rules and just make it work. So, I've had to replace the multiple attribute ones with more fun other ideas. So I mean that's what it comes because there's nothing I do is going to change what the rule is. We can go out and get petitions or whatever. But
Yeah.
like you know, the game is what the game is, and the rules are dictated by HQ, and they are what they are, and there's reasons behind them.
Mhm.
So just make the best of them and just do what you need to do.
Yeah. No, that's a great attitude. I really like
So
that. Just get more
trying to do it.
creative, folks. Yeah. I love it. Well, I think maybe we'll wrap up then on a positive note. So thank you, Debbie, for that. So tonight's Mappy Hour is brought to you by Cash Advance, of course. And let me find my latest promotion. Y'all probably saw it in the emails. And if you receive emails from us, hang on, let me get there. We have a special going on right now with our mystery teas. And here we go. Let me put them here. So we've got mystery t-shirts. Here's a stack of some of my latest ones. And we always have to order in a couple extra just in case there's a flaw on one or one gets mismade, which actually just did that the other day. The transfer came up upside down. All the other ones were one way, and I just didn't notice when I putting it on. So we have extra shirts, although I promise I'm not going to send anybody one that's like upside down or anything. And they're just $14.95. And if you buy two, you get $5 off. And if you buy three, you can get up to $10 off, however many that you need. So it's a good chance, good opportunity for you to gear up if you want to get some more t-shirts, geocaching t-shirts. And then also they make great gifts, our prizes. A lot of us have events coming up, certainly gift prizes and that sort of thing too. And if you need to gear up your whole caching crew, this is the time to do that. You can stock up. So yeah, what's this? 5 or 6 copies. Oh, Mike, you must have a couple different email addresses signed up with us, perhaps. And Lori says, be kind of cool to make other wonder what the shirt says. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, again, they're a mystery. You're not going to know what color or your print is going to be on them, but they're all adult unisex sizes, so they're all appropriate for men and women. Size small up to 3X are the sizes that we go on. Super comfy. We always have good quality shirts. So cool. Oh, the upside down one. Well, I'm not sure if I even threw that one away. I think it's going to be our mistake one that I test things on now. Yeah, it was the one that actually that just went out in the t-shirt. It was the gift one, which I don't have right here because I think mine is actually in the laundry. Well, thanks everybody for joining us tonight for Mappy Hour. Oh, Charles, do you have one last thing to say?
Yeah, one last thing. I put in on the chat the link for the regional policies. So that way everybody can have a chance to get it quickly before we all get signed out.
Great. Thank you for that. Yeah, I remember looking at that a long time ago, but I have not looked at it in a very long time. So thank you for that link. Hope everybody got that here in the chat. So, all right, thanks. Well, thanks everybody. We will see you all in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, yeah, 2 weeks for our next installment of Mappy Hour. And I am generally back doing Lookout Lisa live on Thursday afternoons at 3 p.m., which should be 6 p.m. Eastern time. Although I'm not quite sure about next week because I'm going to be literally in the air flying to Fayetteville, Arkansas. Melissa, did you have a last thing to say?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for doing my topic. I understand a lot more and I appreciate that.
Well, good, perfect. That's the whole reason for Mappy Hour, is to share knowledge and new ideas and to connect. So it's so great because I think I've met almost everybody here personally finally. That's in the room. Awesome. Well, take care, everybody. JD says hello, and he should be getting into my brother's probably another hour or two. It's a long drive, like a little over 6 hours to get there. And then they have to get up early and go chase dinner. All right. Well, take care, everybody, and we'll see y'all soon. Good night.